Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Unfound Podcast Channel on YouTube. I am, of course, Unfound's host, Ed Denzel. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Before I get started, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel. Please like, share, whatever you got to do. Tell your friends and family about this YouTube channel. Lots of good, excellent, shall I say, missing persons content here. Lots of content. And if you'd like to support what we do here at Unfound, you can go to Patreon, PayPal, or right here on YouTube, you can hit the join button below. As the title says, I'm going to go over the locations, important locations for the disappearance of Richard Hitchcock. Of course, understanding that things have changed over the last 35 years. Some things have changed, other things haven't changed, and I will be sure to point those out as we go. So what we're doing right now is we're looking down on Allegan, Michigan, and the actual street, the actual location where this all allegedly occurred, with Richard coming out of the Riverfront Lounge, allegedly running down the street, jumping over a couple fences, and going into the Kalamazoo River, which you can see labeled right there. I'm going to go down to Street View and show you some of this. So we'll take down here, go down here, drop the little orange guy. See this blue building right here? That is what used to be the Riverfront Lounge 35 years ago. That's what it is. And this is on Water Street in Allegan, Michigan right here. I'm going to guess the doors have stayed the same. So we have to believe, if we're going to believe the popular story, the accepted story, after 35 years, he came out one of these doors and allegedly ran down this direction. So going this way as we are looking now. So this is the parking lot right here. Now, it's a regular parking lot now. When was this? November of 2022. It says this was the parking lot. There was an impound lot of some type, and there was a fence that ran around this. And you can see this is still an auto parts store, but I'm thinking this building has changed hands multiple times over the years. I think it's always been an auto type service type of place. But I can even find a street view of where it was getting redone, new change of ownership, rebranding or something like that. So the way it looks now is not the way it looked in 1990, even though in 1990 it was also some sort of auto service, auto parts place. But these days, it's more, I guess, more retail, I guess you might say, and maybe they don't hold cards overnight or something. But you can see there's no fence there now. But at the time in 1990, this pavement right in here that I'm circling with the cursor now was surrounded by a fence with barbed wire on top. All right, was it that circular kind, which you more traditionally, I think, see around prisons, or was it like the straight kind that you might see on a farm, like a farm fence? I don't know. Certainly the straight kind is probably easier to get over if you're a human. The wound stuff, I mean, that just sounds like a complete looking, automatically a hospital visit if you run into it. Get on it. But that's me. And I'm guessing like the string kind is cheaper. So I'm going to guess that was what the kind was at the top of this fence. But if somebody has some pictures, I'd like to see them. I don't know. But chain link fence, barbed wire on top around this parking lot right here. Now, if you're wondering where Richard worked, it's right here on the other side of the parking lot. This is how close it is. This is where he used to work. This red brick building right here, Perigo, that's where he worked, right there. So we have where he worked, the parking lot that he allegedly jumped into, and then right on the other side of that is where he went for drinks, and that's why he could just walk over there. His location's very, very close together. Now, where was he parked? I believe his car was, or was it a Jeep, was parked across the street over here. I believe we want to go down here a little bit. I think you see where these cars are parked. I'm thinking this parking lot is the employee parking lot for this place. Maybe it was the same, probably the same 35 years ago. His vehicle was found in there several days later, undisturbed. Maybe somebody drove it and put it back, but I don't think there's any proof of that. So let me go back up to satellite view now and show you this. So put this in the center. Right here, Prigo Company, that's where he worked. Over here is where the Riverfront Lounge is. This parking lot right here was surrounded by the fence. Here is the Kalamazoo River. So allegedly, Richard comes out, runs down the street, jumps a fence, and that's what I said. Has to jump another fence. So he jumps a fence to get into the lot. He has to jump another fence, climb a fence to get out of the lot. And then here's the Kalamazoo River. And at the understanding at the time is that there was ice on the banks, but the center of the river had no ice. All right, that's the understanding. Now, what first occurs to me is that you did hear Kelly and Stephen say that these witnesses allegedly heard Richard go into the water. This seems unlikely. Granted, it's not that far from like this location to the water, but it just seems unlikely. How far is that? Maybe, a couple 100 feet. Maybe. It seems doubtful, though. So if we're to believe that they're telling the story just in general, that, yeah, he did run off and they had nothing to do with his disappearance, I'm not sure that they heard him go in, but they might have just taken for granted. And in fact, unless we were to have pictures from 1990 where these trees there, I don't know. But certainly they weren't close to the water. They could not have seen him go into the water at night. But they might have just taken for granted that he went into the water, and maybe their imagination was just telling them that they heard him go into the water, if we're going to choose to believe their story. But they would be over here. It's 100 feet. Maybe did they follow him down? Should I even say maybe were they chasing him, which is something I think that we have to entertain that idea as well. I don't know. But it seems unlikely that they would hear it, unlikely that they would see it. Most likely it would be they would just take for granted. Well, he went in, and then maybe they saw him jump over the other fence, and being they didn't see him after that, they just took for granted that he went into the river. Maybe. Which I really can't blame them. If they're telling the truth, they maybe just took for granted that he went into the river. And I think any of us, if we were in the same situation, we might think the same way too. Now, looking at the river, you should know it flows up the screen. If you're wondering, it flows this way. So it starts over here. The water goes this way. And if you're wondering where this trestle is that was mentioned, this is it right here. So first of all, we have this roadway, a bridge. And then we have this trestle right here. Now, we have to understand something. Was it actually a railroad trestle at the time? Because today it looks like it's a trail, like a bike trail or something like that. And of course, we know that a lot of railroads in the United States that aren't used anymore have been turned into trails for biking, hiking, walking, running, whatever. In fact, that's happened in my hometown of Leechburg, Pennsylvania. Used to have railroads there. Train came in for the steel mill. Steel mill shut down, and railroad not used anymore. And over time, they've replaced the tracks with, is it dirt? Is it gravel? Is it pavement? I don't know. I've never been on it. But that's what's going on here. But I can assure you, when it says it was a trestle, there are actually pictures that this part of it that goes over the river right here, what goes, actually the pillars or logs or whatever that go into the river, do look like what you would imagine a railroad trestle railroad bridge looking like. And there's not a lot of room between them. Certainly, if there's a body in the river and it's floating down there, and the river is powerful enough, I would guess yes, it could get pushed through there. But you could also see, you can understand in the episode why they said, we know a lot of things get hung up at this place right here, limbs and other things in the Kalamazoo River. Very easy to understand. Now, could a body on its own get stuck there? Don't know. But if stuff is already stuck up against these pillars that go into the water, then certainly a body could get hung up. Certainly. But of course, they went down there and found nothing. Now, where it goes from here, it goes around this way and eventually really gets a lot bigger over here. And really going to the west, it goes into Lake Allegan. And that is that part of the diagram for the river. So going back down here again, this is where it all happened. Richard's here. He allegedly runs down this way, kind of in a southeast direction, jumps one fence, jumps another fence, allegedly goes into the water, and the water would have taken him up the screen, never to be seen again. But as we stated in the episode, there may be some reasons to doubt that. Maybe most importantly, police and other people have been digging up, people's backyards looking for Richard. Well, how did he get into a backyard if he went into the Kalamazoo River? That's a little hard to understand. So there you go. That is the diagram for the disappearance of Richard Hitchcock. You can make of it what you want. And I will talk to you again soon. Once again, please like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.